Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are jumping into a really strategic look at the hidden levers of influence and power. This is less about brute force, your way to the top, and more about understanding the silent, complex rules that govern who gets ahead and why. We've got a trove of fascinating source material for this, a collection of historical observations and distilled laws governing power dynamics, reputation, and just raw human interaction.
It's like the advanced curriculum for success.
Yeah, exactly. Focusing on the subtle strategy of the long game.
Our mission today is pretty simple. We're giving you a shortcut. We're extracting the core insights on how power is truly gained and, just as important, maintained.
And not through direct confrontation.
No, not at all. It's by managing perception, controlling information, and influencing your environment. This is really the hidden machinery of high-level influence.
And what's so striking is how many of these rules feel, well, it's counterintuitive. They demand a really high level of self-awareness and tactical thinking.
Right.
When you look at history through this lens, you realize that the relentless striving for dominance, whether it's in a royal court or a modern boardroom, it isn't really a game at all.
It is, as the sources describe it, a form of civilized war.
And in this civilized war, the first tactical challenge is just recognizing where the real fight is happening. We can start with a great paradox. The danger presented by those who claim they've opted out of power games entirely.
The purist.
Yeah.
I know this person. The one who says they're above the fray, who doesn't do politics.
You have to view them with extreme suspicion. Those who say power games are evil or beneath them are often the most effective manipulators.
Why is that?
Because the claim itself that you've opted out is a clever disguise. It's meant to lull everyone else into dropping their guard about your motivations.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, true powerlessness wouldn't publicize itself. If you're genuinely weak, you don't go around telling everyone.
Exactly. But when someone makes a show of their weakness or humility, that's where the strategy lies.
It's a kind of surrender tactic. It's a powerful, deceptive tactic. You seem to bend or retreat on the outside, showing weakness. But inwardly, you're still completely committed to your goal. You neutralize potential attackers because they're looking for obvious resistance, and you're not giving them any.
So feigned weakness is step one. Then there's weaponizing virtue. And the big one here is perfect honesty. Everyone says they value honesty, but the sources warn that being perfectly, consistently honest is strategically harmful. Why?
Because honesty is not a precise weapon. It's a blunt instrument. It just bloodies more than it cuts. Constantly stating absolute truths or giving unvarnished opinions will inevitably hurt and insult people no matter what your intent is.
People don't perceive it as objective.
Never. And that's the key distinction. The use of perfect honesty is a strategy in itself. It's meant to convince people of your noble, selfless character. It's a subtle form of coercion, using moral weight. If you use it selectively, it's a great disguise. If you use it constantly, you just make enemies.
Which connects to the non-player's third move, demanding equality. When someone insists everyone must be treated exactly the same, it sounds noble. Right. But it has a corrosive effect, doesn't it?
It's just another mechanism of control. Treating everyone equally ignores differences in skill and effort. So it elevates the less skillful, making them dependent, and at the same time, it suppresses those who excel. It just keeps the whole playing field low.
So the theme here is that deception is paramount.
It's a highly developed art of civilization. It requires playing with appearances, wearing many masks, rather than just delivering facts.
Okay, so if deception is the prerequisite for power, the question becomes, how do you conceal your intentions without, screaming, "I'm hiding something"?
Right. The natural instinct is to clam up and look secretive, but that just creates suspicion. Secrecy is a magnet for scrutiny.
So what's the alternative?
Paradoxically, the best way to hide your true intentions is to talk endlessly about your goals and desires, just not the real ones.
So camouflage through noise.
Precisely. You appear friendly, open, trustworthy. It disarms people immediately. And most importantly, you send your rivals on these time-consuming wild goose chases. Their energy is just wasted chasing phantoms you created.
That is such a fascinating use of sincerity. And that brings us to the tool of false sincerity. How do we even spot that?
It's hard because people easily mistake sincerity for honesty. Think of Iago and Othello. Iago's entire plot rested on the apparent sincerity of his friendship. He just had to present his motives as pure.
He didn't need evidence. He just needed the appearance of honesty.
The best deceivers cultivate this air. They publicly talk about how much they value forthrightness, and then they use these calculated strategic disclosures.
Like Napoleon's minister, Talleyrand. He was the master of this.
An absolute master. He rarely lied outright about big things, but he specialized in what we call the decoy. He'd divulge a minor but heartfelt secret, maybe a small, calculated betrayal of someone else.
To create a sense of intimacy?
Exactly, a sense of privilege with his target. That fake confidence would immediately get him a real and far more critical confidence in return. He traded something meaningless for something essential.
You pay a small price for a huge secret. Okay, so once you have that working for you, you can move to cultivating an aura through mystery. The sources say most people are predictable because they just don't control their words or their image.
And predictability makes you easy to dismiss. If you want to magnify your power, you have to hold back. Keep silent, say ambiguous things, appear inconsistent sometimes.
You force people to try and interpret you.
And that continuous attention acts like a magnifying glass, making you seem far more powerful and deeper than you might actually be. Andy Warhol got this. The power of silence is immense.
The ultimate practitioner of this has to be Mata Hari. Her name itself just means enigma.
Her whole career rested on constantly changing her biography. She was born Dutch, but she'd tell people she grew up in Java or knew ancient Hindu dances, the shifting, exotic origins. No one knew for sure.
So no one could get a handle on her.
It made her ungraspable, and that turned her into a true cult figure just by controlling her own story.
Speaking of cults, this image-making taps into a really deep human need, doesn't it? The desire to believe in something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. If you want to build lasting influence, you have to offer that. And to create that kind of following, the key is the cause you offer. First, your words must be vague, but full of promise.
So lots of hope, not a lot of specifics that can be picked apart.
Exactly. Emphasize enthusiasm over rationality. People are drawn to energy. Second, you have to ask your followers to perform rituals and make sacrifices. The sacrifices are crucial.
Why sacrifices?
Because it's the psychological cost of entry. The more a person gives up for a belief time, money, whatever, the tighter their bond becomes because they have to justify that high cost to themselves. It locks them in. Now, let's shift focus a bit. From maneuvering among tiers to navigating vertical power dynamics, specifically how to deal with a superior, a master.
Ah, yes. And the foundational rule here is maybe the hardest one to swallow. Never outshine the master.
It feels like self-sabotage, doesn't it? Especially if you're genuinely the more brilliant person in the room.
It does.
But it's not self-sabotage, it's long-term strategy. The master needs to feel secure. They can tolerate talent, but they will never tolerate being intellectually challenged. The perfect example is Galileo and the Medicis.
Right. Galileo was a genius, but he needed the patronage of Cosimo II de' Medici to survive.
So when he discovered Jupiter's moons, he didn't just present them as an astronomical observation from his new gadget, the telescope. He linked the Medici's name to cosmic forces. He argued that Jupiter and its 4 moons mirrored Cosimo and his 4 brothers.
Wow. So he aligned the family with the heavens themselves.
He didn't challenge their authority. He used his knowledge to make the master shine brilliantly. It was flattery disguised as cosmic dedication, and it secured his fame and his funding.
You can apply this more subtly, too, if you are clearly smarter than your boss.
You must appear the opposite. Act naive sometimes, make harmless mistakes, and then humbly ask for their advice. Masters adore these requests. It lets them bestow their wisdom on you, and it makes them feel secure and important.
Moving to another relational strategy. When you need help, the sources are ruthless. Appeal entirely to self-interest, never to mercy or gratitude.
Gratitude is flimsy currency. Self-interest is reliable. Look at the Corsair ambassadors seeking aid from Athens before the Peloponnesian War. They started by admitting all their past mistakes.
Owning their failure. That sounds risky.
It was, but they immediately pivoted to the future benefit for Athens. They argued, whoever wins our current fight will show no mercy, so Athens needs to side with us now for your own pragmatic survival.
They gave Athens a strategic reason to act, not a moral one.
Exactly. Now contrast that with the fate of Stefano di Poggio. He quelled a rebellion for his prince Castruccio.
And then he appealed to the prince's gratitude and sense of justice,
Right.
hoping for pardons for the rebels.
He relied on an emotional debt he thought the prince owed him.
And Castruccio, who understood only force and self-interest.
Had him executed. Castruccio later said he executed not an old friend, but a new enemy. Poggio offered no new benefit, just a reminder of a past service. In power politics, that emotional debt expires the second the task is done.
That same ruthless selectivity have to be applied to your associations. We have to talk about avoiding infectors.
Infectors are those who are incurably unhappy, chronically unstable. Their problems are just too deep to be solved by you, and their intense negative emotions are dangerously contagious.
Contagious. That seems harsh, cutting someone off just because they're unhappy.
They're not just sad, their chronic instability sucks you into endless cycles of drama. You end up spending your valuable time and emotional energy trying to fix their chaos instead of managing your own life. The classic example is the courtesan Lola Montez.
Right. Her lovers, like King Ludwig of Bavaria, got pulled into her constant feuds and instability.
And that personal drama became political drama. Ludwig was eventually forced to abdicate his throne because of the turmoil she created around him.
So the law here admits no reversal.
None. Associating with the chronically unfortunate is a trap. You waste your energy and you suffer by association. You have to ruthlessly cut them off, or you risk being pulled right into their maelstrom.
Okay, shifting gears now to the art of execution timing. Power rarely goes to the people who start things. It goes to those who know when to enter, when to exit, and how to bring events to a conclusion.
Look at Fouché during the French Revolution. He was a master of constantly adjusting his allegiance to stay on the side that would ultimately win. He always knew when to pivot.
So controlling the tempo is key. One strategy is making others come to you. You withdraw, you disappear, you feign inaction, and that forces their hand.
Because they get scared of what might happen without you. There's a great story about the architect Filippo Brunelleschi.
The Florence Cathedral dome. He had a rival, Ghiberti, who was hired to work alongside him.
And Brunelleschi simply feigned a mysterious illness and stopped working. He just let his rival struggle alone because he knew Ghiberti was incompetent. The city officials got desperate, fearing the whole project would fail.
So they had to beg Brunelleschi to come back.
And he refused until Ghiberti was fired. The longer you don't go to them, the more full your own force remains, your energy, your reputation. Meanwhile, theirs is becoming empty, just wasted on anxiety and useless effort. It's a brilliant act of strategic waiting.
And on the flip side, if you do decide to act, the strategy is defined by boldness.
Absolutely. If you are unsure, do not attempt it. Hesitation betrays weakness. Boldness directs all the attention outward and keeps that illusion of confidence alive.
Like Casanova in his Seductions.
Yes. He never showed hesitation or doubt. His confidence was infinitely more flattering than any compliment. The moment you hesitate, the charm is broken, and the power dynamic just instantly inverts.
Speaking of breaking patterns, while routine can lull an opponent to sleep, the ultimate power move is doing something completely against that pattern, subverting predictability.
It creates total strategic shock. The perfect modern example is Muhammad Ali's Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman in 1974. Everyone expected Ali to follow his decade-long pattern. Dance, jab, stay out of reach.
And he did the exact opposite.
He completely broke his own routine. He chose to slug it out on the ropes, using the famous rope-a-dope and this totally unsettled Foreman's strategy.
Foreman just wore himself out, throwing punches against a pattern he didn't recognize.
Ali used his own history against his opponent. The assumption that someone will act the way they always have is a powerful psychological trap, and the most powerful people know exactly when to spring it.
This has been a truly comprehensive deep dive. For you, the learner, I think the key takeaways are critical. Success is won by playing with appearances, managing perceptions through strategic communication, like Talleyrand's decoys, being ruthlessly selective about who you associate with, and mastering the timing of your actions. You have to remain fluid, ungraspable like mercury.
And if you connect all these laws together, the essential difference between those who succeed and those who fail is their ability to read human nature, control their own emotions, and critically, never take strategic moves personally.
You have to train yourself to be that slippery ball that can't be held.
That's it.
It is a complex process, though.
Yeah.
Integrating all these layers of calculation and perception management into just everyday life.
Yeah, it is. And we've seen that absolute honesty is socially impossible and strategically harmful, and that a reputation for honesty is often the most effective smokescreen. So this raises an important question for you to consider moving forward. If you can't be truly honest without damaging your position, is the most powerful and sustainable form of social power perhaps the one that perfects the art of appearing fundamentally good? Something to think about as you navigate the civilized war of everyday life.